Today, the entire semiconductor industry believes that India is the most important trusted value chain partner.
India wants to be a semiconductor powerhouse.
Sir, out of this entire value chain, where are we trying to dominate?
This is the most complex manufacturing system ever done by human being. Any company that you talk of, whether it is Intel, AMD, Nvidia, which uses semiconductors, their design teams are located in India.
Taiwan is one of the most powerful countries in the world today, not because of its army, but because of semiconductors.
As you know, today's geopolitics is so complex. The countries which have semiconductors control the entire supply chain of manufacturing.
When it comes to lithium and cobalt, today we're still dependent on China for the resources.
No. We have MOUs, both Japan and South Korea. So that way the entire supply chain is fully aligned with our mission.
Now, if we've hit that kind of benchmark with semiconductors, why aren't we able to do the same with the entire manufacturing sector of India, sir?
Manufacturing was kind of tied up in lots and lots of.
What are the weak spots that we need to keep an eye on? What is Modi ji's vision for semiconductors? As entrepreneurs and investors, where can we find an opportunity to participate in the semiconductor revolution? Before we dive in, let's take a moment to thank Odoo for supporting our podcast. Imagine a small manufacturing company in Pune that consistently juggles between multiple software tools like one for inventory, another for accounting, and another for sales. This leads to miscommunication, inefficiencies, and valuable time is lost in just managing these disconnected systems. But what if all your business needs could be handled in just one place? Well, this is where Odoo comes in as a game changer for businesses of all sizes. Odoo is an all-in-one enterprise resource planning platform that brings together 45 easy-to-use applications. Whether you are managing your sales, invoicing, project management, inventory, or even building a website, Odoo centralizes everything on a single platform. So no more juggling, no more disconnected tools, and no more dealing with messy integrations. Odoo has a very seamless integration. Every app communicates with the other, which creates a unified system. For example, sales is automatically in sync with inventory and accounting, which gives you a real-time overview of your business performance. And Odoo's user-friendly interface ensures that everyone, from a seasoned manager to a first-time user, can adapt to the platform effortlessly. So as your business grows, Odoo grows with you. It's completely scalable and it will allow you to add new applications as your needs evolve. Automation tools streamline repetitive tasks and give you more time to focus on what truly matters, which is scaling your business. The best part, your first Odoo application is completely free for life with unlimited hosting and support included. So if you want to grow your business in a flash, check out the link in the description and start your journey with Odoo today. Hi guys, before you watch this episode, I just want to let you know that we tried to cover railways while having a conversation with Ashwini sir, but he didn't have enough time, so we could only cover semiconductors, and because I met him during Semicon, that's the only subject that we could cover in depth. But he's promised me that he will come back again and talk to us about railways also, and there we have some hard-hitting questions to ask him. So before you drop a comment, please understand that because of the constraint of time, we could only cover semiconductors. Hope you enjoy this episode and let me know what you think in the comments. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the Indian Business Podcast. Sir, we are now about to embark on a very, very exciting journey to become a part of the semiconductor revolution of the world. But very few people understand the opportunities that the semiconductor revolution has to present to the entrepreneurs and investors. So from the entrepreneurs and investor community, I want to understand from you, where do the opportunities in this space lie? And how can we as entrepreneurs and investors tap into this opportunity and become a beneficiary of the same so that we can help India become a winner in the semiconductor revolution of the world? If that's clear, shall we get started, sir?
Absolutely.
Sir, could you please help me understand why are we going so bullish on semiconductors now?
So semiconductors, basically, this is a foundational industry. When you say foundational industry, you mean an industry which is similar to steel industry, an industry similar to chemical industry, an industry which basically is used to build other industries, right? So if you have semiconductors, then you can have electronics manufacturing, you can have mobile manufacturing, you can have automobile manufacturing, you can have so many other manufacturing sectors basically use semiconductors as one of the major inputs. So as we go on the path of Make in India and as we increase our manufacturing footprint, we need to have semiconductor industry. And as you know, today's geopolitics is so complex that the countries which have semiconductors, they are the countries which can basically control the entire supply chain of manufacturing. Then we have seen the disruption which got caused during the COVID phase, right? Chips were not coming from the people who were manufacturing, and that stalled our car manufacturing, that stalled practically all the other manufacturing activities. So being a foundational industry, it's very important to get it in a country. The first attempts were made in 1960s when Fairchild, which is the precursor of Intel, they wanted to come and they wanted to set up a plant in India. Somehow that license, permit Raj and policies of that period didn't work out. Then other attempts were made. There was a semiconductor lab established at Mohali in 1980s. But the thrust came in 21 when our Prime Minister launched the India Semiconductor Mission. And the focus was to get commercial production of chips, get the entire ecosystem in place, get the design teams, manufacturing teams, ATMP teams, and all the ecosystem partners in place.
Got it. Sir, what role does semiconductor play in the geopolitics of the world? Because Taiwan is one of the most powerful countries in the world today, not because of its army, but because of semiconductors, right? So what will happen if we miss this bus, sir?
Taiwan, as they say, has a silicon shield. And silicon shield is basically, it comes from the semiconductor manufacturing capabilities that they developed over the last 30 years. Yes, in the past, we had missed the bus, but we are now getting into the driver's seat. And the reason for that is our biggest strength has always been design capabilities. When you have design capabilities and you complement that with manufacturing capabilities, then you get the entire value chain. Getting the entire value chain is very, very important because in today's geopolitics, suppose, let's say you are a mobile manufacturer. Tomorrow, some country wants you to wants to obstruct your mobile manufacturing capability. They can stop sending the chips. They can stop that. If you don't have chip manufacturing capability, then basically your all other manufacturing capabilities will get hampered. So it's very important to get this industry here.
Got it. It's almost like not having steel at all.
Precisely.
Got it. Understood. Sir, you spoke about the value chain of semiconductors. Could you please help me understand the entire value chain from manufacturing all the way to shipping?
Okay, so the value chain begins with basically manufacturing the silicon ingot, the silicon wafer, then fabricating it, then making the chip. So it all starts with sand. High silica content sand is there. That sand is basically melted and purified to 99.999%. Then it is converted into an ingot. Ingot is a large body like this. It's a cylindrical piece. Then it is sliced into wafers. That makes the foundation of chip making. On raw wafer, you have to basically etch the entire chip. Let me give you an example. Suppose you take this leaf, right? Now you write thinkschool on it. It's easy to write. Now I ask you to write the entire Encyclopedia Britannica on this. That will be difficult. Now I'll ask you to write, let's say, Encyclopedia Britannica, Ramayana, Mahabharat, Gita, and 20 other books on this small piece of paper. That would be difficult.
Yeah.
That would be really difficult. And the fineness of that work is basically the most complex part of the entire semiconductor industry. So when you look at this small little chip that you see here, this chip, this is the final version, this is the packaged version you see here, but this will be having billions of transistors in it. Billions of things which take a decision 101010, right? And everything in computers basically is binary, so everything goes into 101010. So this is the complexity of the entire process. That's why in the entire industry, people say that this is the most complex manufacturing system ever done by human beings. So chips go into practically everything, and chips vary in complexity. A memory chip can be a reasonably simple chip, but a microprocessor can be a very difficult, very complex chip. So this is the entire value chain: design, manufacturing, ATMP. ATMP is basically, so I'll explain you ATMP with an example.
What is the full form, sir?
Assembly, testing, manufacturing, and packaging. Okay. So let's say in this wafer, suppose you pick the chip out. Now the chip is like a very, 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 very tiny thing. That has to be given a body which will be useful in a circuit. So for example, this is a small little circuit. This is a good example for you. It has to be ultimately put into a module like this. In this module, when you put the chip, this chip is the packaged chip. So when you package a chip, you basically give it a body. The chip is a very small little tiny little brain inside. You give it the complete body. It can dissipate heat, it can take electricity in, it can give a signal out, it can be put on a circuit. So the entire process needs to be in our country.
Got it.
And once you have the chip manufactured, then the chips go into different products. This mic that you use, the light that you are using here, the camera that you are using, the mobile phone, practically everything that switches on and switches off has a chip in it.
Got it. So design, manufacturing, AT&P, correct? Sir, where does fab come in? Because I often keep hearing the
Fab is manufacturing.
fab is manufacturing.
Why do we call it fabrication? Because basically we are fabricating the chip on a bare wafer, right? When you see the bare wafer, on this fabrication is done. What you're seeing here, those small little bright spots that you see in a very clear pattern that you see, that is the fabricated part. As I explained, fabrication is like writing the complete circuit on the wafer with a extremely fine system. The company which does this fine system, all these companies are present here. ASML, you might have heard the name, right? Which is today one of the most important companies in the entire world. They create atom thick plasma, which is used for then finally etching the circuit on it.
Wow.
It's very, very complex. It's really complex.
Sir, out of this entire value chain, where are we trying to dominate? Are we trying to dominate with design, fabrication, or AT&P?
So we have very strong design capabilities. Up to 2 nanometer chips are designed in our country.
2
Up to 3
chips.
nanometer, I'm sorry. Up to 3 nanometer chips are designed in our country. And most complex chips are designed in our country. And globally, about 20% of the global talent is available in our country.
20% of global talent?
Is actually located in our country.
Okay, for design.
Yeah, for design. For example, AMD, they have a team of about 10,000 people working here. Practically every, whether it is Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, any company that you talk of which uses semiconductors, their design teams are located in India. Based on this design capability, we must now get into manufacturing. So that is the fab. And the output of fab is taken to ATMP to make the chip usable in the real circuits. So we want this entire value chain, and we also want the equipment manufacturers, the chemical guys. So there are about 500 chemicals which are used in manufacturing semiconductors, and 500 chemicals and about 50 gases. And the purity of each of these chemicals is in parts per billion. It's not in ppm, which is parts per million. It is measured in parts per billion. So you need to have purity of, let's say, if you have a boron used, 99.999% purity is required.
Wow.
And practically 2/3 of the entire periodic table that you see, 2/3 of the elements are used in semiconductor manufacturing. It's that complex. So that's why we are looking at the entire program in a very holistic manner, that we should not make the mistakes which many other people made.
What are those mistakes, sir?
People just focused on getting, let's say, the fab. The focus was only on fab. Get the fab. No. We have to get the entire ecosystem. Getting the entire ecosystem means then you are looking at a 25-year growth story. So when you think 25 years ahead, then you must make sure that you have practically everything coming to a country.
Which country made that mistake, sir?
many other countries.
Okay.
Let me
So
not
you
take
mentioned something about 3 nanometer. And we again keep hearing these terms 3 nanometer, 28 nanometer. What does that mean, sir?
So when you go from kilometer to meter, that is 1,000 times less, 1,000 times smaller. From meter to millimeter, again 1,000 times smaller, right? So you go further down, you come to nanometers, and nanometer is really fine, and below nanometer is angstrom, which is like at the atom level. So most advanced chips today are in the range of 2 to 5 nanometers. There is a lot of research going in angstrom level also. But the vast bulk of the semiconductor industry, if you look at the whole market, which is about 600 to 700 billion dollars today, close to 50% of that would be above 24 nanometer.
50% is about 24 nanometer.
Yeah. And there are 40 nanometer chips which are used in Apple. There are 80, 90 nanometer chips which are used in practically all the defense equipment. In electric vehicles, you have 60 nanometer chips which are used there. So the bulk of the market is in the what we call the legacy nodes. These are called nodes. Each nanometer is called a node. Then the most advanced computing chips are in the smaller nodes, the most advanced nodes, which is 7 nanometer, 5 nanometer, 14 nanometer. As we start an industry, we took a very conscious call that we should focus on this 28 nanometer, and then we move down, because being given the complexity, it's very important to first understand the entire manufacturing process and get the people who support the manufacturing process. And then you keep moving ahead, right? So our first fab is of 28 nanometer. The ATMP units have as low as 14 nanometers, 1/4. And basically, so in a sense, as we speak today, we have from 14 nanometer up to 180 nanometers. That is the range we have been able to bring in the short time span of 3 years, 3.5 years. As we go forward, we'll be looking at 14 nanometers and below.
Got it. So the smaller it gets, the more advanced the chip gets.
Correct.
Okay. And about 50% of the market is 24 nanometer plus.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's why it's very important to get that market first. That's a very large market. Practically all automobiles, telecom, your power electronics, your trains, your consumer electronics, your TV, everything. They all use chips in that range.
Got it. So you mentioned that we require 500 chemicals and 50 gases. And the one thing that I've studied in the EV industry is that even though we have the manufacturing capability of producing EVs, we often choke at the resource front. For example, when it comes to lithium and cobalt, China, because it invested heavily in Congo and because it has control of the lithium value chain, today we're still dependent on China for the resources. So even though largely the EV industry in India is progressing, deep down we're still dependent on China for lithium and cobalt. Similarly, for these 500 chemicals, do we have these chemicals in India or do we still import them?
So that is how the entire industry starts. Typically we always begin with the finished product. Every industry and every country has gone through the same cycle. Then we move towards components, then we move towards equipment, then we move towards the materials. We are starting in the semiconductor industry to look at the entire ecosystem, and that is why it's very important to have the ecosystem philosophy of your program. So we are working towards the entire ecosystem. I'll give you one example: silicon carbide. Silicon carbide is the latest material which goes into EVs, right? Now, while we are setting up a silicon carbide fab, we also work backwards in the supply chain to start manufacturing the ingots of silicon carbide. So I just saw the first, one of the ingots manufactured recently. It's a very important step. And as you rightly said, we should not be limited to the final product, but we should keep moving backwards and keep building the entire chain in our journey. And that should be an endeavor. That is our objective here.
Got it. So the one thing that I'm curious to understand is, as far as these resources are concerned, like cobalt or lithium, they cannot be found in India. So we will always be dependent on other countries, right? As far as China is concerned, because from 2008 onwards, they started investing in everything from solar to EVs, they're able to catch hold of the resources well in advance because they practically control the cobalt mines in Congo. Similarly, if we have to backward integrate from manufacturing all the way to the resources, how can we catch hold of resources when we don't have them at all?
Resources come as per the nature's own system. The way the world is working today is India is emerging as a trusted partner.
Okay.
What does it mean? It means that when we go to any other country, we are seen as a country which is basically there to be a part of the development journey of that country. So that particular trust which the world has on us, it's very important. So as a part of the critical minerals mission, we are working with many countries in Africa, in Australia, in Canada, in Southeast Asia, where many of these critical minerals which we need for our industries, from EV to semiconductors to many other industries, we are developing with them, co-sourcing, co-developing, co-producing. That's the philosophy we have adopted, and that's working out well. And I think in the coming years, we'll certainly have a lot more of these being produced in our country. As far as the semiconductor materials are concerned, the value chain and the supply chain is very evolved. A large part of it is manufactured in Japan and South Korea. And both these countries are very happy to collaborate with us. We have MOCs, Memorandum of Cooperation, with both Japan and South Korea. Some of these materials are manufactured in Europe. We have MOC with the EU. So that way, the entire supply chain is fully aligned with our mission.
So does that mean that we have a symbiotic relationship with these countries in such a way that we help them with manufacturing and they help us with resources and IP?
IP, we have to develop our own. At this point of time, they are helping us with IP. But as we go forward, our own startups, our own entrepreneurs who are our own researchers also, who are developing the IPs. So in a sense, we have to move in that direction also. They are helping us with resources, and they help because they see us as a very important manufacturing sector, and they would like to capitalize on the design strength that we have. So build upon the design strength, get the design centers here, have the manufacturing also here, so it becomes a good cost-effective and a higher capability kind of scenario.
Got it. And so for these entrepreneurs and investors, what exactly is the government doing to create a conducive environment so that entrepreneurs and investors can participate in this revolution?
So if you look at the journey so far, the first 5 units, they got all their permits within 3 months, within 100 days. And they were able to get going, do the groundbreaking within a few days, within like 100 days of the approvals. The entire process that we have followed is very transparent and very professional. Basically, the semiconductor mission is run by professionals who know the semiconductor industry for decades plus. Then the banking system is part of the entire discussion because access to capital is very important. And the technological partners are very carefully chosen. We go deep into what that product will be, what will be the market for that product. Then only we do the final approval. So that way, it's a very, very, there's a lot of due diligence going in it. And there is a lot of professionalism in the entire process.
And where could we possibly fail, sir? What are the weak spots that we need to keep an eye on so that we don't fall for them?
That's very, very important. So one of the things that we have very carefully evaluated right from beginning is, what is it that can fail our entire mission? What is it that can be a major problem for our entire program? And the things which came out, we carefully worked on each one of them. There were so many things which were part of the state government's remit. There were other things which were part of the industry's remit. There were many things.
What does that mean, sir?
So which means, for example, if the electricity infrastructure is not good, so in semiconductor manufacturing, even if the frequency of the power supply changes by 1%, and that can cause the entire lot to be failed, right? Water supply has to be ultra pure. The roads have to be really, really good. The plant has to be so isolated from the road, because if a heavy truck moves on the road nearby a plant, then the vibration of that truck can fail the entire manufacturing.
Oh, really?
So when we started working on this mission, we basically did a very careful evaluation of what are the things that can make us fail, what are the problems that we will see, and we extensively discussed with the industry on the experiences that they have had in many other parts of the world. So there were certain things which were part of the state government's remit, for example, power supply. So we worked with the state governments to get very stable power supply. Then the manufacturing is so sensitive that even if there is a heavy truck moving on a road near a plant, that can cause the entire production to fail. So the locations we carefully selected and made sure that the sufficient isolation is there. Then the water that has to be used is ultra pure water. So how do we manufacture that ultra pure water from natural water? All those things we work with the industry and the state governments to make sure that these basic constraints don't come in the way of the semiconductor industry. And we work very closely with the stakeholders to make sure that anything that we do here, for example, if there is an issue in the customs law, we worked with the finance ministry to make sure that the customs law points are considered, because even a small delay in getting the chemicals in place can cause issues in production. So we worked with the Ministry of Finance, we worked with Commerce Ministry, we worked with a large number of stakeholders to make sure that it's all in place, and it's a continuous effort, right? We keep taking feedback from the industry. For example, just an hour ago, I was asking the organizers that what are the things that the people are suggesting for further improvement in the industry. So that is a constant feedback process which we use for improving.
Sir, the framework that you just mentioned over here is solving for land acquisition, talking to experts in the industry, coordinating all the requirements, making sure that you coordinate with the state government and the central government to make sure that all the requirements are fulfilled. And we're talking about semiconductor, like you mentioned, we have to go to the microscopic level and make sure that even the roads are smooth, right? Now, if you've hit that kind of benchmark with semiconductors, why aren't we able to do the same with the entire manufacturing sector of India, sir?
I think things are improving, and it's a continuous effort. For first 50, 60 years of our journey since independence, manufacturing was kind of tied up in lots and lots of license permit Raj. Then, of course, 1990s, the reforms started, reforms came into place, and that was a very important, significant milestone for the country. And the basic infra bottlenecks are getting solved for now. As you see, the number of railway tracks we are constructing, the number of the kilometers of highways that we are constructing, the kilometers of grid that we are constructing. Those are basic things which go into promoting manufacturing, and that infra thing is getting solved for now.
Got it. So the reason why we often get apprehensive is because when Modi ji put out an announcement saying that manufacturing will be 15% of our GDP, we all saw that as a benchmark. And we saw that the GDP of India went up drastically. And we've done a phenomenal job with that. But what we've seen is that manufacturing as a percentage of our GDP has come down from 15% to close to 13%. Why is that happening, sir? Why is our manufacturing not able to cope up with the growth of our country?
So manufacturing is growing, and the overall GDP is also growing, right? So that percentage will definitely come as a mathematical calculation out of that. But what's important is that many of the manufacturing sectors, I can give you 5 examples. For example, telecom manufacturing. 11 years ago, it was practically negligible. All through the last many decades, India has been an importer of telecom equipment. Today, we are not only manufacturing telecom equipment, but close to 50,000 crore worth telecom equipment is exported. Electronics manufacturing, 6 times growth. Close to 13.5 lakh crore worth manufacturing is happening here. 8 times growth in the electronics exports. Defense manufacturing, right? Through and through, we have seen import of defense equipment. Now we are manufacturing and we have started exporting also. So there is a significant growth. I definitely would like to say that we must keep putting our efforts in it. We must keep solving for any problem that the sector faces so that the growth can be even more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, what I really appreciate about you, please maintain this quality forever, sir. The kind of explanations that you give and the kind of nuances that you get into, it's almost like me sitting across a lecturer and understanding the nuances. That explanation gives us so much clarity because, sir, as citizens, for us, okay, you announce something, you did not match that deadline. For us, it looks like a big disappointment, but you undergo the engineering challenges, the policy challenges. So, every time you explain something, it is music to our ears, sir, because it helps us understand the complexity and empathize with you better. So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time. I had a few more questions to ask, but then I think we are time up, but we'll do it very soon, sir. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.